Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, so paying karmic debt. What? Oh yeah, let's first please let's please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the information's in the description. For Zelle, let's do this. So, paying karmic debt. Karmic, what is that? The debt from your actions or other actions. What's karma? Well, what knows what karma is? Shit will come back at you. But you might have to pay other people's karmic debt, even when people do bad things to you. See, karmic debt, there's always a debt to be paid karmically. The karmic debt, always. And see, karma's not about good or bad. It's kind of like gravity, meaning no matter if you're a good person or a bad person, it affects you. It doesn't have, it's not like a conscious thing. It just is. It's gravity, man. Same thing with karma and karmic debt. People will do this subconsciously. The best analogy I could talk about is like, somebody that's a bully or whatever, and they're bullying someone. And even though they're doing the wrong thing, the karmic debt is paid by the person that's taking the shit. You understand what I mean? Because they're internalizing it. Oh, I am a loser. What happened to me? Why did I say it? Right? Until they stand up to the said bully, then he's paid that karmic debt. See, most of the karmic debt you're paying is from what other people do to you. And you got to ask yourself, like, well, how do I get rid of this karmic debt? You got to react. You can't internalize it. The first thing you got to do is even vocally to say, man, fuck this motherfucker. Switch that karmic debt because, man, someone's going to have to pay this karmic debt. It's going to be paid. Again, it's like gravity. It ain't going away. People know this. In fact, they study it. They that's why some of these, like, elites or whatever, they'll tell you what they're going to do to you because that passes the karmic debt on to you or us. This is ancient knowledge, man. They talk about it in Kabbalah, Babylonian magic. It's just old. So yeah, it's always a karmic debt. Now, sometimes you do it to yourself. You're like, oh damn, man. But you can use it too. Pass it on to someone else. Again, it's as simple as not internalizing it, not trying to think something through when someone did something bad to you, and oh my God, here comes the karmic debt you got to pay. Unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with your finances and your health. Karma's a motherfucker, man. And you'll be paying most of the karmic debt you paid is from others. Me too. Again, there's nobody exempt from this, man. Today's a little bit of tough love with mixed with some humor. Some people aren't going to get this, but it's dead on. It is. That's why I don't let people see. People are small-minded and this, that, and the other, and they're going to do that. Let them do. Because my mind's already set to the point. I've set it, like, set it, forget it. Like this, I'm not paying this karmic debt. I'll pay my own. See, but I don't do a lot of nasty shit. We all, cut people off or whatever. But I'm talking about like people will do. They don't even know what they're doing. See, this is human nature as well. And then when the karmic debt comes back to them, it's a thing. There's always this debt you have to pay. Usually from other people doing shit to you. How you turn it around, react, do something, get away. Just matter of fact, sometimes your absence. Just don't say shit. Just don't be around. Somebody's gonna have to pay that karmic debt. Ain't gonna be me. I don't get. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Even me, you, me, everybody. And it's for real. It will change your life if you know how to. Again, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Like gravity, man. Take someone that's evil, take someone that's a saint, push them off a building, they're gonna fall. At the same time, gravity's a thing. You can't. It doesn't have it doesn't judge good or bad. Gravity, and there's other stuff in the world too. It just is. It's like a universal law. There's a lot of them too. They don't want you to know this. This is another thing. They do not want you to. They want you to be down on yourself and Oh, what did I do? That kind of, as soon as you start going down that road, you're paying other people's karmic debt. And nowadays, the society we live in, man, it's just coming at us. You know, um, most people get depressed, angry. What you should be being happy. That's the best way to like twist that stuff around. And sometimes there's a time delay on this karmic debt you got to pay. Sometimes it's instant karma. You've seen that. I saw it the other day. Uh, this dude was acting crazy in the street, like holding up during a green light and everything. But he had his head down. He's too like cowardly to look at people, and they were like honking their horn or whatever. And he was kind of strutting and going. When he hit the other side of the street, bam! He hit one of those metal signs, and it slid his head open. And he dropped his stuff, and he should have said, yeah, instant karma. And then I went to this store because that's why I was going to this store, which is not even a block away. And I went in there, and the cashier, she's like, "Did you see that?" And I go, she goes, "That was instant karma." I go, "Yeah, yeah." She's like, "That was so cool." Hey, I don't want anybody being, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, or I don't wish, bad things on people. Because I know for a fact, the better we all are off, the better off we all are, the better it's for everybody. See, people have this like kind of baby mentality, like, I self me, it's mine, it's mine. When in reality, if you were helping others, you'd even have more. People don't understand that. I mean, with my bands, people are fighting for gigs and just like, being, competitive and talking shit and telling the club owners and promoters, oh, well, you see, and here I was, my band is like this step away from it. And then next thing we're getting, come on, we're getting all the good gigs. Didn't have to do that. Because it does work when you kind of fuck people over. Come on, you will get ahead a bit, but that only gets you so far. And then if people you'll pay karmic debt, man. Again, there's only so much you can pass off. And this is other ancient knowledge too. And again, people do it subconsciously. They don't even know what they're doing. That's just who they are. And there's a lot of people that do it. I mean, this is ancient shit. Since day one, since we were walking around, humans, I should say, we do this. There's nothing new. When there was only a few people on the earth, they were still doing crazy shit, killing and whatever, stealing and lying by omission. Well, there's a lot of that going on, lying by omission. So again, how do you rectify this said karmic debt? You live your life and be happy. It doesn't matter what's happening to you. It's how you react to it. It's another thing, reactions. Because most people, me included back in the day, I'd fly off and I'd get mad. I want to punch somebody in the face. You can't be doing that. Then you have to pay that karmic debt. You don't want to be in jail. And I don't like to feel that way. I don't like to be angry and vengeful. And it's just not, I'm an artist. I can't create from that point. I mean, lately I haven't been creating my podcast. So that's an art form, I should say. But I'm not like, disciplined as far as like painting every day or writing my music or, doing this and that, the other thing, because I've already did it. Pardon me, I've done it. I'm in my 50s. I've shifted gear. The only thing creative I'm doing is my podcast. And I do this live without the chat on, so I'm not interrupted. I don't want to edit anything and all that stuff. I mean, I could. I don't know how. This is how I like it. Do it. This is my format that I do. And there is, karmic debt to be paid and just about everything. You gotta watch out. People are tricky at best. You have to deal with people. You have to be social. Even if even if you're a homebody, you got to go out and grocery shop and This is the thing. People don't, again, when you're laying there in the hospital and you're sick or something like that, this is when you realize certain things. You're like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have. So it's another thing, people think they have more than one life to live. You don't. They're living like they're going to have another youth or another life. No, you're not. This is it. So you got to make the best of it. You got to look into things as far as again, it's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it. Things are going to happen, but it's how you, now that I'm a haggard old man, well, I know this. When it comes around, it's like, okay, this is it. This is another thing. You twist that karmic debt around, you're also going to be rewarded. See, that's the karma's good sometimes. So you pass the test. Here comes something good. Everything's not all bad. So you just want to do a flip on them, especially if they're doing something to you and expect you to pay the karmic debt. Like in Los Angeles, people, the only time I've heard this being how these people would talk to you was in a lot of producers will do this, or agents or casting, whatever, is they have this, because they say things that you have to answer, whether it's like, oh, for instance, they'll go, you're not that talented, are you? Think about that question. You're not that talented, are you? So whatever you say makes you look like an idiot. You instantly have to pay that karmic debt. You look like, so I wouldn't answer it. I'd get kicked out of offices. Most of the time I'd be like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Out. Then they're pissed off. Then they have to pay this karmic debt. And then they're all offset. And they have to, The only time anybody's ever spoke about it to me is in a situation where they think they're powerful, meaning they're in this office or whatever, and they're casting some movie, whatever the hell it was. And they would say that. I'm like, at first, you're nervous, you'll laugh. Don't laugh. Get your confidence up. Don't be doing that. Then you got to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Because obviously, if they're casting stuff, they've read you like a book, and they already know you're not the one they want, so they'll kind of twist the screw on you. And the strange thing is, after decades of auditioning, you see these same people, these same casting people, but they forget, because that's how they act and react and all this stuff. So they can't keep up with their, the people they fucked over or whatever. So you'll be on an audition, maybe a year later, you're like, oh shit, I remember them. They don't remember. And they might do the same thing. But the kicker is after years of this, you get in front of them, all they remember is your familiar face. And then somehow they're like, oh, Charles, we must have worked together. How you doing? In my mind, I'm thinking, man, you don't remember kicking me out of the office like 4 or 5 years ago? And they just think that I've seen you. Wasn't it the other night I was watching something? Yeah, I'd be like, oh, what was it? I don't know. I do. It's strange. So don't react. You're going to see these same people again and again and again. It's all psychology. It's all how but it's. I thought I was. Earlier today, I was like, well, I'll talk about this. I'll talk about paying karmic debt, because it's like, I don't want to be a bummer or whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? I like to talk about funny stuff. But my podcast is kind of like, I like to talk about human behavior and psychology and knowledge and how to use it, in a funny way. We all have to deal with the same kind of shit. And it's, spread the blessings, spread the love. I'm not, again, I go do you. Go do what you're going to do. Don't think it's going to affect me. Even when you're trying to, whatever. It isn't. Again, you're going to have to pay that karmic debt. I've already got my mindset and my presence and my frequency, if you will, that it's already, it's one of those like an alarm, or it's just already on. I don't have to think about it anymore. I just do when I feel it coming up. Okay, this is what I got to do. Fine. Okay, whatever. Here we go. Again, it's again. It's tough to wrap your head around. Some people are like, I don't want to think about that. Well, guess what? That's why you don't want to, because you're dealing with it. You don't want to think about things that are constantly coming at you. And a lot of times these people, again, it's human nature. I don't even know how I could stop it. It didn't like one day you go, well, we're all no, 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 no. There's been times where, I I went to this audition. There was a casting offices. I forgot the name of it. It would switch names, but it was on the corner of I think Fountain and La Brea, or Fountain and Vine. I forgot which one it was. I think it's Fountain and Highland, maybe. It's a brick building and it's casting. Over the years I've been there, it's got a different name. Whatever, it's the same thing. And there's offices, so they'll be casting other things. Like you might be for your, there's like 10 things being cast, all these actors, somewhere in wardrobe, like acting, so I got, I had an audition to do. And I think I've told this story, but I went in and see, it used to be, and these rooms are small, it would be like one person or two people. And this was with headshots before the computers, and they were working hard. It was a lot of work. Now with the computers, it's easy. And instead of one or two people that knew what they were doing, there might be 10. It's so crowded with people trying to get that you can't even hardly move, right? And they're just bickering, and you open the door, you get, that's him. And immediately they start judging you, and they think they're in a place of they're protected or whatever. So let's talk right in front of you. Especially in the acting world, like, oh, he's too tall, his eyes are too big, his feet are too big. But I had talked to the director on the phone, and he hired this casting person to, I already knew he liked me. We'd had a conversation. So I'm like, oh, and I was off script or sides, meaning I'd already memorized it. I didn't have a piece of paper in front of me, and they're like, okay, went over to the camera, barely took, okay, go ahead and do it. I go, well, aren't you going to turn the camera on? Well, how do you know it's not on? Because that blinking red light, I could tell it's not on. Wow, they wouldn't let me do it. They literally are like, you're being rude, or whatever they said. So I just grabbed my thing and I left. Oh, well. And I think I had like one or two auditions later that day. It's one of those busy days where you have like 3 auditions and you're running around all over Hollywood. And some of those days are actually fun. They're funner than when you work on a set, because when you're working, it gets stressful. People are, stressed out. And on these audition days, you got this, oh, I got another hour or 2 to kill. I'll go get lunch. They're fun. You remember these audition days. So later on that night, it was that evening, I'm sitting at home and I get a call from this director. He's like, Charles, you didn't show up for your audition. I'm disappointed. I go, dude, I was there. And he wouldn't turn on the camera. He wouldn't let me audition. He's like, that son of a bitch. I paid him 10 grand to cast my film, which was one day's work. Can you imagine 10 grand to cast a film? And then he didn't record anybody that the director wanted, and then inserted his friends and his person he was dating or whatever, and was trying to push them. And the director knew it, and he's like, yeah, whatever, you're hired. Don't even worry about it, man. So the point I'm trying to make is that karma, if I'd have internalized that, if I'd have been, what did I do? This, that, no, I wouldn't even have got that call from the director. I would have had to pay whatever. Now, this casting guy, guess what? That night, he canceled that check. He's like, I'm getting off the phone. He ain't going to get my, And then that director probably told everybody, it's a small world. See? And then after that, I never saw those casting people again. Wonder why? It's that's how it is. If this dude would have been a regular person without doing manipulation, I think he could run the world. And he's probably being too confident because he was making $10,000 a day, to cast a movie. Well, he's probably doing something else now. It's gonna happen. even when you're a nepotist, crony, whatever, and you have things you think, well, oh yeah, it's just gonna, they're gonna do it because I'm so and so, this, that, and that. You're gonna deal with that, And sometimes it can get bad for these people who think they can manipulate and this, that, and the other, and all this stuff. Again, a lot of times it's their health or their finances, like out of the blue, something will happen, and sometimes it comes in threes, like I just pile on. They did it to themselves. They're used to people paying their karmic debt, meaning they can project it onto others, and then again, subconsciously, they might not know what they're doing. They might. Some do, some don't. And just go about your day, and just be happy. Don't be grateful for what you have. Don't try to look into this and that, ask too many questions. And no, nope. Take a page out of my book, which you can order on Amazon. Charlie Greer, Reign of the Madman. Shameless plug. But I've said this before, they don't pay me and I don't promote it. Well, I mean, I just promoted it now. But anyway, it is 9:24 in the a.m. Freaking like strong black coffee. About to have another cigarette. I mean, come on. I got to quit smoking. That's the debt I got. But it is what it is, man. I've told this before about how bands used to come and beg for. I'd be headlining a club. I'm not talking about clubs. I'm not talking about begging me for. Can I play? Can I? Yeah, you can be fourth fiddle You can open the show at like 8 at night when I go on at midnight. During sound check, and they don't get a sound check. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to be playing in front of my gear. That's set up since midday or whatever. Then they show up and they start. I didn't get a sound check. Why is he in? Well, guess what, man? You're not playing again here. I mean, not just for me, but anybody. The sound man will tell the owner, the booking, all that. Come on. Over and over. I mean, it's that's how it is. I had gigs where I had a 3-piece. It was me singing and playing guitar. I'd have a bass player and drummer. It was hard for me to keep my band together. So within like 6 months, I might have 2 or 3 different band or my lineup. It was always me, but it was, or every gig, people were like, what's going on with your band? Like, well, I mean, a rotating door policy kind of thing. So but I had that. I had my full band, my live band, electric band. And then I would do a solo show, just me. Some clubs didn't like me to do the solo thing, especially if I was headlining. They'd be like, no. So I'd have to get a hold of them and I'd say, look, because, man, people would fall, I've had, my grandmother died. I got to go back to wherever and go to the funeral. So I can't play a gig, 2 days before the gig. I can't rustle up another bass player or drummer, whatever it was. So I call the booker, promoter, like, hey, man, I'm going to do I got to do a solo show. Well, and they're right. There's like 3 or 4 other electric bands. Then you're up there. Do you really know? And some clubs would tell me, like, look, you're not going to, don't do because some people didn't care. Like, I'll do it. Just get there. And I'd mix like spoken word. I'd be up there and doing songs and I'd talk. And it was what it was. I couldn't afford to put people on salary where they'd be loyal and stuff. And it's LA. There's so many opportunities. I get it. I'd always do about 6 weeks of like 3 times a week at a rehearsal hall, which I'm paying for because it's my band, and the Taco Bell and the beer, whatever. I didn't pay my band members, but sometimes gas money, whatever. And I was doing for almost like 6 weeks. I had this drummer, and he was good, but he would speed up and slow. He wasn't coherent enough. He thought he was a good drummer. Then he has me going, hey, man, well, don't talk to you. So I told him, I said, look, man, let me know because we're going to do a lot of rehearsing. Because by the time we get live, we're in LA, man. We don't want to be seen half-assed, So I would do that. I would rehearse more than do your gigs. Or like a week before, he comes in the rehearsal room like, yeah, I got a paying gig on like a cruise ship. Sorry, Charlie, man, but this will be my last rehearsal. And I was like, well, thanks for telling me. I get it. I wasn't mad. It's like, hey, man, I'm not paying you. You're going to make like what, $36,000 in 3 months? We're like, yeah, go for it. Thanks. But that was he did me a favor because he wasn't that good of a drummer. I got this other dude. Next thing you know, he's real good. Within a week, we're even better than we would have, so it's like, hey, man, just roll with it. Just do what you're going to do. My last gig that I played, I don't even know if I'd even ever played with the bass player and drummer live. We've rehearsed maybe 5 or 6 times. Because when you get to a certain level, and I'm not saying I'm the best, but you bring something to the table and you attract people that are about, they're seasoned. They've been in bands since they were like 16, whatever. So they just, of course they have to know my songs. I'm not teaching anybody my songs. You show up, you should already know the songs, And I've literally had gigs with guys, maybe one gig they play my band, and at the end of the night, see you around. I never saw them again. It ain't no big deal. Again, it isn't. I'm not angry about it. It is what it is. At first, when I started doing this, it was tough because I like a band. I want camaraderie. Well, you got to get over that. Then to come find out, that's what Chuck Berry did his whole career. He didn't have a band. He would just hire, Johnny Thunders. He'd be playing with everybody. So some of my heroes, that's what they did. I guess they liked it. I don't know. It is exciting. Sometimes you have an off gig, but then sometimes you're right on it because I don't know, maybe you don't know each other. I don't know the chemistry. It just, because I've done some real bad gigs. We all have. But then again, I've done some gigs like, oh my God. Because you are in front of these people. You're going to break a string. Your amp's going to blow. You're going to get hit with a beer bottle or, the power goes out in the club, whatever it is, with your movie, like if you're in a movie or something or some kind of student film or what, because a lot of stuff that I did was like pilots, like they'd shoot a pilot to see if they could get it picked up, or a student film, but these were like high-level student films. Like they still spend a lot of money, but they're like, UCLA grads or USC, like it's a real thing, but it's still a student film. But you never know who's the next Spielberg or whatever. So you got to, hey. And that would happen. Or I had a guy like, oh, promised me to be in his film. Then, without me even knowing, he cast a friend. Because he's a friend. Yeah, a friend lied to him. Like, I'm a great actor. Well, let's rehearse. Oh, no, I'll just show. That's what I do. I don't like to rehearse. Get there and ruin a day of film because this guy, horrible. Dude calls me. He's like, hey, man, I know let me just be honest with you. I didn't cast you. I cast a friend. Now I'm like, I'll send you over the script. Can you be there at 5 a.m? Can you be, yeah. And I did. And then he was too cowardly to tell his friends. His friend shows up. He didn't know what's going on. And here I am in wardrobe, like, what's going on? Like, and then I have to perform. I have to like create in this weird situation that they created. Well, I was seasoned by that's just how it is. You got to get used to that. So you can, again, I don't internalize it. I just pass it on to someone else and I'm doing my thing. And everybody on the set was like, oh, I got the crew love me. Charlie, thank you so much. That you were so, you didn't. Because a lot of people would be like, throwing them. And that's another thing. Actors on the set, they just get mad. And even in a scene you're in and they mess up and they snap, you're cut. And then they're like, I had to pull people away. Like, man, come on now. I'm sure it's worse when you get, again, I was never on a TV show. I never got a lot of the opportunity you get is because you have to, it's not about your talent. It's about other things that I didn't want to talk about that I wouldn't do. So therefore I wouldn't, But at least I had roommates and friends that they never did even get an audition, struggling out there, like never, or wasn't in a Screen Actors Guild, never joined the union. I was in the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA and the Canadian one, which is called something. Um, but you just have to, again, pass that buck. Don't pay that karmic debt. Don't let others, you know, and sometimes it will ruin your day. You just got to get over it. Like, okay, this one day, and then tomorrow I'll get up. Start peacocking around town. But yeah, it's a thing. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. You want to support the channel, the information's in the description for Zelle. And I do this every day. Tomorrow, I'll be back. Sick or not, or whatever. But I say, hey. But I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.